Ireland, Wales and Scotland.
So let's talk to journalist Pippa Jacks, now travel journalist. Pippa, morning to you. So I guess of the ones we've just mentioned, Portugal's going to be the most significant in terms of numbers, isn't it? About how many Brits are there right now? What's the picture you can paint for us?
Yeah, Portugal is always a very, very popular summer destination. And as soon as it was made okay to travel there a few weeks ago, the numbers really swarmed in. We saw tour operators switch capacity to Portugal from countries that they hadn't been able to operate to. So there are a lot of people in Portugal at the moment. And I just really hope that they travelled with this at the back of their mind, because it's only a few weeks since they were allowed to go. And we see it taken off the safe list yet again so quickly.
Take us through some of the basics on this one. The question we often ask: what does this mean in relation to your travel insurance, for example?
So the FCO is advising against all but essential travel to Portugal now, which is normally the trigger for a tour operator to give you a full refund. So if you've booked a package holiday, then it should be possible to get your money back. But if you've booked your flight and your hotel separately, then that airline still might operate that flight, and that hotel in Portugal is in honour bound to give you your money back. So you need to get in touch with your travel company and see what flexibility there is, but you won't certainly be entitled to refund. It's a complicated one.
Yeah, and you mentioned at the beginning, anyone who went to Portugal over the past week or so, past 2 weeks, the signs were there, weren't they? I mean, it was a very awkward time in some respects for people trying to make that decision.
It was, the numbers were coming down, and so it was put on the safe list, which was good news, but it was still quite borderline. And I think there will be a lot of people who are just so desperate to get away, and in some cases perhaps weren't due a refund, so it was either take it or lose the money, depending what they booked and how they booked it. So can understand people going, and anyone that's still there now probably hasn't got kids going back to school. Most of the schools have sort of started going back already, so I really hope that they'll be able to cope with the quarantine, and we are seeing people happy to self-quarantine if it means they can get a break in the sunshine. So it's not a disaster for everybody, but it's certainly a huge inconvenience for many.
Yeah, and are I know we do still have that situation, and it's been almost painted like one of the beginning of one of those jokes, isn't it? You've got a person from Scotland, a person from Wales and a person from England arriving back to the UK, and they all have to abide by different restrictions. Is that still the case in relation to these latest announcements?
Well, the Portugal news now brings the nations of the UK into alignment, at least. So that's a bit more consistency in that sense. But there are still other destinations that the nations aren't aligned on. So certain islands in Greece, for example, are on different lists for Wales versus England. So it's still a really complicated picture. Makes it very difficult for holidaymakers to understand, for the travel industry to respond to. I think it's just underlining again and again that this 14-day quarantine period isn't a workable solution, and we desperately need airport testing on arrival to try and reduce the quarantine period that people face if they do get back from a country with a higher risk. But the 14-day quarantine, the dividing the UK into different nations with different rules, really isn't working. It's dented consumer confidence so badly. We're writing about travel companies failing every day now because they just don't have consumers confident enough in booking for future travel right now.
You got any plans to go away, Pippa?
I'm having a baby in a few weeks, actually, so I won't be flying anywhere myself. I certainly would book to travel in the next few months, but I would certainly book a package. Then I know that I've got the financial protection if I need to get a refund, and tour operators will tend to align with the FCO advice. If that changes, you can get your money back. It's definitely not a time to be booking flights separately on one website and a hotel on another site, and you really need to get some professional travel advice from a travel expert, a travel agent, to make sure that you're booking what's right for you, and that you've got some flexibility in your plans as well.
Well, Pippa, we wish you well. You're going to be busy doing other things by the sounds of it the next few months. So good luck with that. Thank you.
Oh, good luck, Pippa. It is time to find out what's happening wherever you are with the news, travel and weather. We'll see you soon.
Good morning, I'm Sonia Jessup. BBC London has discovered fake driver's licences are being advertised for sale on social